2, 3, 4.
God damn it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hauntological Podcast Society, the place where we talk about Bigfoot, cryptids, ghosts, Loch Ness Monster, Dogman,
Skinwalker.
Loveland Frogman. Yeah, that all the above, all those wonderful cryptids. I'm Eric. I'm your host. And that beautiful person you just heard over there beside me is my bedmate, mother, my child, my right-hand woman.
Wendy.
Wendy, yes. That is your intro from now on. I'm trying to give you some music.
Sexy music.
Oh yeah.
Okay, great.
How's it going?
It's going. Had a all day to myself. It's weird after 6 months of piled up bliss. So yeah.
How did it feel to have some free time actually?
Today I enjoyed it. And didn't. So I'll let you know in about a week or so.
Long story short, I finally went back to work after a small hiatus thanks to a unwelcome injury.
Well, compared to our entire relationship, I think I like, come on, lay out with me. You know, the bad influence. Um, and he's usually half dead with COVID or some bronchial something, and so for him to be out for 6 months almost, it's been really nice to help with the slack around here, and you know,
Gave us more time to get the podcast started.
it did.
By the way, speaking of the podcast, if you don't know, we sell merchandise. We have t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers. We got more stuff coming in the future. Go check out our store. I'll put a link to it. It's on our Facebook page. Please help support us because every little bit that we get can help us get better and better. And tell all your friends, tell your buddies, buy them a T-shirt, buy them a sticker, something. Get this podcast growing. We're working on it, trying to keep this going forever.
Wheels on the bus are going round and round.
They are, and unfortunately, sometimes those wheels on the bus will take you to a terrible place, place where you probably do not want to go, a place where you might or might not have to spend the rest of your life. I'm talking about prison. Prison. Behind those huge cinder block walls, prison. Wendy, what would you say is your favorite movie about a prison?
Shawshank Redemption. No
Son
doubt.
of a bitch, that's the one. And it's also written by who wrote it? Say it loud.
Stephen King.
Don't ever whisper his name. Yes, that's right. Stephen King. And who loves Stephen King?
You do.
Who has every single one of his books?
You do.
Who has 90% of them in hardback first edition?
You do.
Who's been to his house in Bangor, Maine?
You do. You have.
That's right. I love some Stephen King. Today we're talking about the prison that film where they filmed Shawshank Redemption. Do you know where that's at?
I do not.
It is Ohio State Reformatory.
Oh shit! I didn't know it was filmed there.
Yes.
You probably told me.
If you see it, you know, because it's that iconic Andy Dufresne being taken in by the bus into the prison. That drone shot overhead where the bus drives up. You see the big Gothic castle-looking walls and shit. That's the one.
Great movie.
They also, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they also have the world record for, or at one point they did highest levels of cells stacked on top of each other. I think it's like 6 floors of like prisons, and they go up.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Death trap waiting to happen.
And especially now because that place is decrepit. You can see like all the. It looks like the place is covered in like moss and goo, age and stuff. Gross. I want to go there. You can take paranormal tours there. I believe also Ohio State Reformatory is the place where if you stand in the center hub, you can look down 5 hallways, and it was made like that so the guards could stand there and look, and you can see everything that's happening on each floor, so they could find out what was going on. But it was a very nasty place, uh, as usual, overcrowded, lots of super violent criminals, bad shit going down.
Probably mixed with not so violent criminals,
Yeah, the usual like
everyday shit.
mishmash of like what happens in a prison system. Anyway, so like I said, today we're talking about Ohio State Reformatory, and we're taking you deep inside the crumbling walls of one of America's most infamous prisons, the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. Now, oh yeah, by the way, fun fact: uh, in the movie Shawshank Redemption, there's the part where Brooks, the character, etches his name into the uh, wall or whatever,
Mhm.
and then he trigger warning, he unalives himself. He completes suicide by hanging underneath the rafters. That part, the thing where he etched his name into the wall, it's still there. You can go see it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of movie memorabilia still left there, or places where they filmed.
I imagine so.
But if you've ever seen Shawshank Redemption, you've already seen the outside of the place. It serves as the main filming location, but the real stories, no, they're way darker than anything Hollywood ever put on screen. The Ohio State Reformatory opened its doors in 1896. It was supposed to be a place of hope, a prison that could be focused on reforming young, first-time offenders. How'd that work out? The architecture itself, a blend of Victorian Gothic and Romanesque, was intentionally designed to inspire repentance. But as time went on, that vision started to rot from the inside out. So it was made to scare you the moment you went there, which is why they built it up like that. By the mid 20th century, the reformatory had transformed from a place of rehabilitation into something far more brutal. Overcrowding was rampant. Cells meant for one inmate held 2 or more. There were reports of abuse, neglect, and psychological torment. Solitary confinement, simply known as the hole, became a sentence on its own, and it's one of the most haunted places in the prison. If I'm not mistaken.
The whole.
The hole. A lot of these places, the hole is one of the most haunted places because it traps so much energy, so much bad shit goes on in the hole. I can't remember which one it is, but there's one of them. They have a place they call the Sugar Shack, and a lot of people would go down there and get shanked, and the guards would just basically let the prisoners go down there and fight it out, and
Yeah.
yeah, lots of bad shit happened. Um, and death visited often. At least 200 inmates died during the reformatory's operation. Some from illness, some from violence, and a few under suspicious circumstances. One of the most talked about tragedies happened in 1948. Helen Glatka, the wife of the prison superintendent, was shot inside their apartment, right there on prison grounds. The official story: accidental discharge while reaching for a jewelry box. But some believe otherwise. Her husband, Arthur Glatka, died just over a decade later, collapsing in his office from a heart attack. Some say he never really left. Um, I've heard that he killed her. That the theory is that he might have shot her. There's a theory that I hope I'm not spreading rumors, and I don't mean to do this, but I think this is what I heard. The rumor that I heard was, and it's purely a rumor. I'm not stating this as fact, but the rumor was that she could have been having an affair with a prison guard or a prisoner themselves, and the superintendent found out about it and got so pissed off that he killed her for it.
Well, I mean, you make a lady live in an apartment off of a prison. I mean, damn.
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect is going to happen? Nothing good's going to come of that. But that brings us to the reason why so many people still visit the place today: the hauntings. The Ohio State Reformatory is widely considered one of the most haunted places in the country. Paranormal investigators, skeptics, thrill seekers, they all come here, and many leave with stories they can't explain. Let's start with the basement. There's a cell known only as the Hole, which we talked about. It's pitch black, windowless, and claustrophobic beyond belief. Legend has it that one inmate was locked inside and forgotten. Days, maybe weeks later, his body was discovered. Since then, visitors reported cold spots, sudden nausea, and even the feeling of being watched or touched. Some refused to go in at all. In the warden's quarters, people have reported catching a whiff of perfume with no source in sight, believed to be Helen Glatka. She's still lingering near the place where she died. Doors slam on their own, lights flicker, and shadows dance down empty hallways. And then there's the chapel. Once a sanctuary, now a hot spot for the supernatural. Visitors say they hear footsteps echoing behind them when the room is empty. Others swear they've heard whispering. Some claim it's prayers. Others say it's something far less holy. Now, if I'm not mistaken, is this not the same place where um, the paranormal state crew found the pentagram upstairs?
It could be.
I
Now
think
that
it
you
is
say that, I have
because
to go back and watch that.
yeah, it's one I haven't seen in a while, but I always thought it was fascinating, and I didn't know that it was that apparently they didn't know it was up there, but it was like near the warden's apartment,
Yes,
and it was built behind this wall. And once they took the wall down, there was a stained glass window with a pentagram on the wall.
which is where Ryan had his experience,
Yes,
if you remember.
he had some sort of experience, and I believe it was like it was so traumatizing that he was afraid to go up there. So I think this is the same spot. What do you remember about it?
Well, I do. Well, as far as that place, I do know that they had to. That's where Ryan had his experience, and whatever it was, led him to investigating.
Yeah, because I remember he took the whole crew up there and showed it to
Yes,
Katrina and
yes,
Skip and all those people. Chip, I mean, not Skip.
and whatever happened to him up there, because I really don't know that he really revealed it to the public.
Yeah,
It was probably just amongst his closest friends. Um, but that's also what led him into his addiction.
yeah, yeah. It sent him down a dark path. So that was pretty traumatic to him. He went through a bunch of shit for sure. Um, but anyway, so perhaps the most unnerving thing, people captured actual figures on film, full-bodied apparitions wearing tattered prison uniforms, walking past barred windows, or standing silently in darkened corners. So, what is it about this place? Is it just the power of suggestion, the heavy atmosphere, the crumbling walls soaked in over a century of human suffering, or is there truly something still roaming these cell blocks? Whatever you believe, the Ohio State Reformatory isn't just a building, it's a memory, haunted, decaying, and refusing to be forgotten. So, tell me what you think.
Pretty interesting. I mean, anything fucked up like that's gonna, cause a lot of trauma and energy to be trapped there.
Yeah, yeah. What's up, Chris?
Yeah,
How you doing? Come on over here. Got a little special guest here. This is my buddy Chris. Say what's up.
what's up, people?
Chris, you ever been to a haunted prison before?
I have not been to any haunted prison. No, I have not.
We were just talking about Ohio State Reformatory. You ever heard of it?
Seems familiar. Yeah, I think I have.
It's where they filmed Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. I've definitely heard of that.
Yeah, it's a pretty haunted place. Tell Wendy, it's like I think it has the world record for having the most like cell blocks stacked on top of each other. I think it's like 6 floors of cell blocks. And it's like when you stand in the hallway, all you see is just rows and rows of like prison cells.
I mean, basically the way it looks in the movie. I mean, they show a lot of that in the movie, right?
Yeah. In fact, I was telling her there's even some parts of the movie that's still in there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the place in itself holds a lot of energy. A lot of stuff is going on there. People have witnessed all kinds of things. Uh, Possibly some occult practices being practiced there. Possibly a dirty ass superintendent. slash warden.
Well, it was in the movie, so
Makes sense,
yeah.
Could have been based on him.
Are there any recorded incidents of any apparitions or anything or anything?
Oh yeah, there's tons of them.
Okay.
I believe you can find videos on YouTube of like full bodied apparitions, shadow people, ghost lights. There's sounds of doors creaking closed, opening by themselves. Up in the warden's room, you could smell perfume. There, so what happened was the warden. I heard a rumor. It's just a rumor. I don't know for sure that his wife might have been cheating on him, and he shot her in the apartment, and it was blamed as an accidental death. But to this day, you could still go up there and get whiffs of her perfume, like smell her walking around the apartment. Even the warden himself is known to be walking around up there.
And how long ago did he pass?
So I think the prison closed down in
60s.
I don't know if it was even that long ago. I don't know exactly when it closed down, but I'm thinking he probably passed away in probably the 50 or 60s.
Ohio.
Ohio State Reformatory. Where would you think this place ranks among your of the haunted prisons you know? Where would you think it would rank?
I mean, it would ring pretty high up there. I mean, Penhurst, of course.
What do you think is the most haunted prison?
I would go with Penhurst.
Penhurst? Yeah, that's a good one.
And that's only from what I've you know, uh, watched investigations or mediums going back and
Yeah.
simply people catching stuff on their camera. Uh, Only because it was sort of like a mental institute as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of fucked up shit happened there.
There's not a lot of difference between a mental institute and
And
prisons from back in that day, in that time period, because the way they treated mental patients as well as prisoners. They each suffered from experiments. They each suffered from abuse. They were all overcrowded. Lots of death was rampant, and nobody gave a shit about them.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. A lot of people, took them there to like unburden themselves from them. Um, Hell, people was even institutionalized for being bipolar or depressed or um,
Women could be institutionalized for having postpartum depression.
yeah.
They could be institutionalized for having their menstruation. They could be institutionalized for not agreeing with their husband. They could be. I mean, it was like numerous things that you could be institutionalized that we just think of as like everyday dealings. If a woman had any kind of social issue or mental issue, she could be institutionalized for it.
Well, even stuff as mild as like dyslexia or
Yeah,
um, a, s- a speech impediment or Down syndrome. They would drop these people off and never go back to get them. And with with that in mind, I mean it would be very easy for them to do whatever they wanted to them and have no repercussions
because
because
nobody's coming to get them.
right,
Nobody's coming to find them.
right.
What'd you find out?
I got something to share. So, just as far as her death, um, so on a Sunday morning, uh, in the warden's apartments, everyone was getting ready for church, and his wife Helen reached into the closet for her jewelry box. She felt a steel box. She pushed it aside so that she could reach higher. The box fell to the floor. It was a case holding Arthur's loaded gun, which hit the floor and fired up into Helen. She held on for 3 days, but died, and the cause of death was reportedly pneumonia brought on by a wound. So,
Infection probably set in.
people talks that Arthur grabbed the gun, shot his wife, and made it look like an accident. That's all kind of sketchy.
That's
And
what Eric said.
It sounds to me. I mean, listen, it can happen. I personally know somebody that happened to, but like, I don't know. Like, I mean, what are the chances of her reaching for a quote unquote jewelry box, knocking the box off with a loaded gun in it that just randomly fires?
yeah,
I mean, and let's be honest, like even if you have a revolver that's not cocked, I'm assuming it's a revolver because it's the 50s. Okay,
Right.
there could have been slides. There could have been like a semi-automatic. But I'm assuming it's a revolver. Um, and it's not cocked. What are the chances of
I
you
mean, the hammer's got to be pulled back.
exactly? What if the hammer's not pulled back? I mean, even if there is bullets in there, it's not going to fire.
I mean, mechanically, it's not supposed to.
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
I mean, it's made to be like, oh, I fall down, I don't kill myself, and then I can get back up and cock the hammer and protect myself after that. So I don't know that the whole thing sounds sketchy, wishy washy. I don't want to spread rumors that are not true, so I don't want to be like this is definitively what's happened. I'm not saying it happened. It's just my opinion that I don't know that I believe the story of her dying by accident.
Well, it says here that losing her brought on his own end. 9 years later, in 1959, Arthur was working in his office. The guards heard a noise and found the warden on the floor, rushed him to the hospital, and he died soon after. He was,
Did he give a cause of death?
no, I'm looking more into that, but I'm not seeing anything just yet. Give me a minute to keep digging.
Do me a favor. I want you to look up one more thing for me.
Go ahead.
Look up and see if you can find anything about a pentagram in the top of Ohio State Reformatory.
Okay.
See what comes up, because I'm pretty sure this is the place, and I kind of want to know like what's up with that. If it's still up there. I think it was removed not long after they showed it on TV because they didn't want people to be like,
Keep going up there and trying to break in. Yeah.
And obviously, if you're allowing people to come in and ghost hunt, they're probably worried that people will come in and do something.
Right. Open a lot of shit.
Oh, don't come in and be evil. Don't try to come do your magic.
Well, it's not. I mean, not necessarily do your magic. It's do your magic and then don't close it
Yeah,
for all kind of shit to
I
run
mean
rapid.
that could happen anytime. Just how some people don't know to close the doors. Anything about it?
Not coming up with anything.
Okay, I have to look more into this. Might be the wrong prison, but it's something to look into. Um, what? Why do you think? Why do you think specific prisons are more haunted than others, Wendy?
More of an imprint. Could be a lot of these people didn't have a place to go, so they chose to stay.
Well,
And that, I mean, you know, it's their forever home, kind of.
Well, it could, just my opinion, it could have a lot to do with the faculty and the shit that they put those
Oh,
people
yeah,
through.
most definitely.
So you got one prison over here where everybody goes by the rules and everybody's they're in prison for whatever they did and they serve their sentence and they're released or executed or whatever. But then you go to this other prison where your guards are just torturing people and
Right.
sticking them in solitary confinement for weeks at a time. You lose your mind in solitary confinement. In a dark.
I heard that someone was in there for years.
That was in the story I read. Like they left somebody down there and forgot about them, and then later on, days or weeks later, they went back and found they were like, no more. Actually, and so what happens is like when you go into a place like the hole,
No
you know,
light,
you know,
no.
you don't have any daylight, so it already starts messing with your like, circadian rhythm or whatever. And then, and yeah, and then you have like you start going like night blind. Your vision goes, your eyes. If you stay down there long enough, you'll go completely blind from the darkness. And then what happens is you start having like anxiety, and then you start having cardiac attacks. Then you have breathing attacks, and it can actually cause you to have like cardiac failure, like heart attacks, stroke, just from being in the dark for too long.
Yeah, you have no time perception.
Right.
You don't. It could you could feel like 2 hours has passed and it's only been 15 minutes.
Right.
So
Little
yeah, I totally
food.
get that.
Probably infested with rats.
It was probably the nastiest of the nasty. They probably didn't go down there and like change their chamber pot or nothing. They just probably had them use the bathroom in the corner. They probably didn't give them anything to use the bath. So they're laying there in their filth. They're covered in disease. They're covered with sores and disease. They're going mentally crazy. They're going stir crazy. Their body is breaking down physically. And then on top of that, places like the Hole, they would allow prisoners to go down there and run wild without the supervision of guards, just so that they could quote unquote thin the herd.
Oh
You know,
yeah. Oh yeah.
and a lot of these prisons, um, they're made from like limestone, and limestone is known to be a conductor of energy, and will actually places that have high concentrations of limestone and quartz are known to have increased paranormal activity because it holds the electromagnetic field more.
Right.
It could also be imprinted from the energy that's around it. So anytime you get a large group of people, all they're doing is emitting energy, and that energy is imprinted into those stones,
Right.
and those stones hold that impression, like laying on a bed. And then when you wake up, and then when you get off the bed, there's still that imprint of your body laying there. So that's how that stone also holds that imprint of those people. All that's kept in there, and so it just keeps playing over and over and over in time. What'd you find out?
Well, the prison was actually not closed or shut down until 1990.
I told you it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, that's insane that
Mhm.
place was allowed to operate. 200 people perished during their time of incarceration from disease, murder, or suicide. So you got to imagine these people that are just going through hell, like we just said, the solitary confinement, the hole, whatever. They would rather take their own lives than to, you know, it's just insane that they were putting these people in the sweat box and the water tubes. The butterfly was an electrical shocking device. There's no wonder.
I mean, they were doing like they were probably even doing lobotomies there and waterboarding, anything they could do to torture these people.
Oh yeah.
Uh, some places, I don't know if it was at this one. Some of the prisons, they would actually chain people up in the basement, and as a way of like almost like crucifying them without crucifying them. Because when you hold your arms up like this, your muscles get weak, and you start to actually like constrict and like suffocate on yourself. And so that's how some of these like prisoners met their end. And just the sheer traumatic ending of like having to deal with something like that is just I can't fathom what it's like or what they went through. And then on top of that, a lot of these places have because no one comes back to get them, no one cares about these people anymore. They just take them and dump them into mass graves or unmarked graves. And so a lot of these people are forgotten, and most of these places, the people just want their story to be told so they could be remembered. Because at one time they did have people they cared about, love, and now they're like almost like forgotten to the ages.
Right.
What you looking up over there?
I was trying to look up where he had his experience to see if it told.
Oh, did it come up?
No,
No.
not yet.
What you got over there? So let me describe the situation to everybody listening to this. So there's three of us in here, and I'm in the middle, and I'm surrounded. Both of them have like their phones out, searching up info. And I'm hoping somebody's got the juicy lead to give to us on the podcast here. What you got?
The basement is home to two specific entities, one tragic and one nefarious. According to lore, a 14-year-old boy was beaten to death in the basement. His shadow is seen flickering across walls or out of the corner of your eye as if he's trying to escape. Despite the lack of description, you'll be able to decipher his presence from the other ghostly resident of the basement. So while the energy of the boy is light, you can feel some unnerving and unsettling approach when the guard is in your presence. So the second entity is a guard. I mean, imagine those guards that work there, they're messed up in the head too to be doing this kind of crap to people. But he's described as a sinister experience, as potentially believed to be the murderer of the young boy. And it just makes me wonder now, why would he stick around in the afterlife?
The guard.
Yeah. So the guard is the second entity of the two of the most popular entities.
So sometimes these guards. Okay, think about this. You have those guards who are like gung ho, all about their job, carrying that gun because it makes them feel powerful. They walk around with their chest puffed out because they can do whatever they want to these people. They take their job seriously, and so sometimes their energy can imprint in a way that even when they pass, they're still doing that job. It's
Right.
there's times like they could be nefarious. They could come in like they're still trying to mess with these. So like let's say there's a spirit of an inmate who's still around, And then you got the spirit of the guard, and he's still torturing the spirit to this day. He's still doing that. So these people are stuck in torment even in the afterlife.
Even after you've done moved on to the next plane, you're still being tortured by that same bastard.
Yeah, and it's like it's a never ending cycle. Um, so I don't know. You know, in the way that like the guards like still come back and do their jobs, like there's also like there is also people who do care about these people and will come back and try to do good. Like, in some of the hospitals you hear about the nurses that come back and still are trying to do their job or trying to take care of patients who are sick. So it's not like people come back and are always terrible. But I can't imagine if you're trying to come back and still torment these prisoners that you were probably not a good person in life, let alone in death.
Do they still let people tour this place?
So you can actually go and do active ghost hunts there. In fact, at the end of this month, there is a paracon going on up there that we were going to try to go to, but I don't think we're going to make it. But and it had a ghost hunt that was going to happen, and I was going to try to go on it. Of course, it just didn't work out. But one day. But a lot of these places they are open for people to go up there. You just have to make reservations. They do ghost tours during the day. Sometimes they do overnights. You can go in and do like 8-hour ghost hunts in the dark, and they'll give you like a experienced person to go with you, and you get some equipment. You can walk around and try to document it yourself.
So not to get off the topic of Ohio. Um, have you looked into anything about the hospital in Taylorsville here? Because I've read that there's a part of the hospital in Taylorsville that is no longer operating, and there's supposed to be some really crazy stuff that's happened there at Taylorsville.
Like what?
Just apparitions. I saw a couple of videos of some people that were trying to do their own ghost hunt without the proper, um, permission, because there's certain parts of this hospital that are still operating, from what I understand, but other parts of this hospital are just blocked off, and they're patrolled 24/7 by law enforcement to make sure that nobody's there,
Sneaking in.
that they're not sneaking in, they're not where they're not supposed to be. But yeah, there's definitely something that's happened at the Taylorsville, North Carolina hospital. And this isn't a prison, but could be a so-called crazy hospital or something.
Right.
I've kind of heard about one that was like up near Boone or up near Avery County was like a abandoned hospital, and it was featured on the show, and I can't remember for the life of me where it was at, but I have to go back and try to find it because it looked pretty cool too, and apparently the place is like super active. Um, so I would like to check that out too. There's lots of cool haunted places around here that we could find.
Get out and do a little digging.
We
Yeah.
need to we need to go. Maybe one of these days we'll do some live investigations.
Chris, would you be interested?
I'd absolutely be interested, for sure.
Yeah, me and Chris done a little ghost hunting ourselves, so
Yeah, the old slave graveyard up the road here.
I actually found out it's not technically a slave graveyard. It was not. They everybody who's buried there was free,
Mhm.
but it was an AME church, an African American church,
Oh,
and the structure that was the round structure that we found that was kind of
mhm.
covered in the kudzu
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like what was left of the rectory.
Okay.
And I do
That
know
place
that
is creepy.
it's creepy, but it's cool at the same time.
Right.
And people today are still like relatives of the descendants of the people who were buried. They still go and take care of it. They still go over there and mow it and clear it off, and so it's still taken care of. But it was weird because it was back in that little corner and you couldn't really see it or
It
anything.
was like a round,
Yeah,
like a cinder block,
yeah,
like almost like a silo type
yeah. But
looking
that was
structure.
part of
But
the
that was a
original church.
directory.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not the rectory, but the actual church itself.
Right.
But yeah, it was pretty cool.
And wasn't there like coal or something? We were
Yeah,
underneath
yeah,
our
because there was
feet.
probably like a furnace down there that they used to burn it. Because some of those graves go back to the late 1800s.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
from my understanding, everybody that's there was free.
So they may not have died a slave, but
Right.
but very well
They could
could have been
They could have been.
a freed slave.
Well, that's true. Or they
Or
could have been like kids of slaves.
right.
So, but
Sometimes.
yeah. Unfortunately, pretty cool. Anything on your end over there, Wendy?
No, I think I finally found an article, but it's gonna be some reading.
Oh,
Yeah.
right on. I think this has been a fairly productive, but quick episode. Quick and to the point. Chatter about. Good to have Chris stop by. Thank you for joining us on the podcast, sir.
Absolutely, anytime.
Oh yeah. By the way, check out that shirt right there. What you think about that, dude? Chris is checking out our official merchandise.
I'm definitely going to be walking out of here with one of these today. Absolutely.
Check out that tag right there, dude.
That is sick.
The tag in the where you it shows like the care and the size of your shirt or whatever. It has a little sheeted ghost on the back of it.
Yeah.
And the shirt is we have black and white t-shirts. They have our official logo, the Bigfoot, ghost, and UFO all tromping through the woods. TM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got more merch coming on the way. It's just keep an eye out. You never know what you'll find. Please check out the merch. Please buy some. We need some sold. Tell your friends. Tell your buddies. Share the news of the podcast. Tell them you got this great show they need to check out and listen to.
Show the love.
And please rate and review us because it helps us get more listeners. The more listeners, the more we can do this. We got an email, the Honological Society Podcast at gmail.com. I am on Facebook, the Honological Society Podcast. You can find us there. Add us, share it with your friends, tell two people so they can tell two people so they can tell two people. It works.
Smash that like button.
Smash it. Smash like, subscribe, hit the notify button so you know every time we drop new episodes. Sorry we took a little break last week, but we had some things going on, but we're back at it. Don't you worry. Anything else? Anybody got the parting words?
I'm good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, I'm Eric.
I'm Wendy.
And I'm Chris.
And I'm out.